Hello and welcome to the latest episode of To the Point, our Southpoint Access video journal. I'm Wes Platt, editor and publisher of Southpoint Access. Dr. Anthony Lewis, our new Durham Public Schools superintendent, started his first day on the job today. He sat down with reporters like me for a brief press conference. That video's ahead. First, let's cover some of the latest news that appeared on Southpoint Access. I hope everyone made it okay through Tropical Storm Debbie last week. It seems like we had some close calls with falling trees and flooded streets, plus some bothersome power outages. I think at our house we were out for 6 or 7 hours or so. But we all came through more or less unscathed, I think. When I finally got out with the family during the weekend, when the sun came out, I noticed that the new Boot Barn location is hiring over at Patterson Place. And there's a new KPOT Korean barbecue restaurant coming to New Hope Commons. And over where the old Denny's used to be, next to the Teeter in Hope Valley, it looks like there's another Chipotle in the works. I'm waiting for confirmation from the company about that, as well as a timeline for opening. But it'd be good to see another business coming in there. Last week during the storm, the DPS Board of Education held a meeting at which they had originally planned to vote on whether to renovate or relocate Durham School of the Arts. You may have heard me talk about that in the last episode. That vote will wait instead until the next meeting on August 22nd. But all board members indicated during this last meeting that as it stands now, they're all pretty much in favor of relocating to a freshly constructed campus at the Duke Homestead site, which is what voters indicated they wanted when they voted on the bond referendums for school construction a few years back. That delayed vote puts it on the agenda for what's likely to be the first big meeting for Dr. Lewis as he kicks off his new partnership with the DPS Board of Education. In the following video, he discusses his arrival in Durham, the work ahead on repairing trust between the school district, its employees, and the community, and his ambitions for building on the district's accomplishments in the pursuit of equity and quality education for all students. If you haven't subscribed to Southpoint Access yet, please do. If you run a business that serves customers in South Durham, advertise so you can reach consumers of ultra-local news about our neighborhoods around Hope Valley, Parkwood, Fairfield, and Chancellor's Ridge, just to name a few. Thanks for watching To The Point. Here's that video. Take care.
Schools, and we are so excited to have Dr. Anthony Lewis. And without further ado, I will let you go ahead and start your questions with him, or your conversation. This will just be an informal conversation on his first day. So, Wes, would you like to start? Can we start with Southpoint Access? If you'd like to start with a question that you may have.
Sure, absolutely.
Around the room.
How's it feel to be here finally?
Oh my God, it's a relief. I will tell you that. Coming off the road over 2 days, traveling here was tough. It was tough, I would say that. But really excited to finally be here. It's been a long time coming since the initial interview to my first day of school. So super excited to be here. Feels really good.
Great, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, first of all.
Thank you.
I'll get right into it. Last year was a rough year for Durham Public Schools and teachers, and morale was really low at times. What is your plan or your mission or your goal to kind of help teachers feel secure here, help them know that you have their back, and kind of make sure what happened last year does not repeat itself?
Right. First of all, walking in knowing that the teachers, staff, community don't know me, right? And so spending a tremendous amount of time on the front end, establishing, building, maintaining trust. My goal is to be out into the community and all of our buildings over my first 100 days. That plan will be released shortly. And so the goal there is, again, is to get in front of people, have some conversations, do a lot of listening, learning, obviously, but at the same time, I will also be doing some leading during that time. And so a goal is to really build trust so that they understand that I am here for this entire community. I will engulf myself in the community, get to know as many staff members as possible, and just create that space where they feel comfortable not only talking to me, but talking to their individuals in their buildings as we continue to work to rebuild that trust that we know was severed. And so that's my goal, to really get in here and just rebuild that trust.
Thank you.
And again, you said no one really knows you here. So what is your message to parents and what is your message to students?
And my message is, growing up in a single parent home, I know the struggles of sometimes poverty, and know the struggles of parents that are really doing their very best to provide for their children. I often say this, that there's no family in this district, Durham included, that is sending their kids and say, I'm not going to be an involved parent. And so my message to parents is that we have you, we have your back, we have your kids' best interest in mind. Every decision that we make as adults must be centered around students. Oftentimes in school districts, decisions are made for the benefit of adults. That's not the case here. We will make decisions for the benefit of students. And secondly, I would tell our parents that we want you to be involved. We need you to be involved, and we want to show different ways that families can be involved. Not every family can make a 5:30 meeting, right? But there are some additional ways that families can be involved. We do understand sometimes families may be working 2 and 3 jobs and going to school, but there are some additional ways that they can be involved. And so, again, we will have high expectations for all of our scholars, all of our staff, and all of our families, but also we'll couple that with a high level of support.
This is Monica with WRL.
Welcome. We were waiting on you, but we tried to wait on you.
I'm sorry.
Fashion related. Love the dress.
It's nice to meet you in person.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
As Durham continues to grow, what are DPS's plans to deal with any issues of overcrowding at certain schools?
Yeah, I'm very well aware of the potential increase of potentially 4,800 students over the next 10 years. And so it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we are making decisions today that will benefit those scholars that are not even in our buildings yet. And so as we think about building utilization and looking at some of our buildings that are right at sometimes above that 100% level, making sure that we are setting the system up so that these schools can receive our students, and the schools that have them can function adequately with the scholars in those classrooms.
Have you had an opportunity to speak with members of the Durham Association of Educators?
No, not yet, but I will be speaking with them and hopefully setting up some frequent meetings with them. I come from the state of Kansas and the state of Missouri, also some time there in Alabama as well. Most recently in Lawrence, Kansas, I met with, they have unions there, we had 2 unions, so I met with both union presidents monthly, and we kept those lines of communication open. It's really critically important for us to make sure those lines of communication are open here as well, and making sure that our staff here are having that FaceTime with them. But not only that, listening to them and then taking action, because what we know is the number one decisive factor in terms of improving student outcomes is indeed the individual classroom teacher. Second to that is the building principal. And so if we're not making sure that we are listening and providing the support, the resources, and investing in our staff, that's going to impact our academics. So we have to take care of our adults.
Speaking of teachers in the classroom, last year one of the main concerns we heard from them was pay. Is that something that you are looking into right now, or is this too soon? I know it's your first day.
Too soon. No, that's one of the things that during my first 100 days is to really get in and understand where we are from a fiscal standpoint. If we're not fiscally healthy, then it's difficult for us to invest in our staff. I believe that our educators should be some of the highest paid individuals in the community. And I think that our county has showed a great deal of effort in terms of investing in Durham Public Schools, and we appreciate them for that. I was talking to the county administrator on a Zoom call, and she said, we gave you all a lot of money, don't ask for any more anytime soon. Jokingly, she said that jokingly. But I said, we may need a little bit more, because here's the thing. We know that once we invest in our staff, one, they're more likely to stay. And again, that impacts the student outcomes, because when you have turnover, that impacts negatively our student outcomes. And so the more that we can invest in our staff, but also not only just invest in them in terms of financial pay, that's hugely important, but in making sure that we're creating cultures in our buildings where I often say that I want all of our staff to get road rage coming to work, because it can't work to get there, because the culture is such that I'm excited about what I'm doing. Yes, I'm going to give it my all. Now, again, we have to make sure we're paying them as well. And so understanding the rising costs in healthcare insurance that we're paying, the rising costs of operational costs. And so we have to be fiscally responsible to make sure that we are investing in our staff so that they can, so that we can retain them. I often say that the new recruitment is retention, how well we're looking at retaining our staff. And pay has a huge impact on that.
And as much as the county has helped, the state hasn't helped as much. I mean, they do help
Right.
some. There have been some raises the last couple of years. But where do you see your role in interfacing with the state on that level?
It was a story of my life in my previous district.
I was gonna
Spent a lot
say.
of time in Topeka, Kansas, as the state capital, lobbying, advocating for increased funding, particularly just base state aid from the state. But in addition, looking at how well we're being funded from a special education standpoint. I spent some time in DC as well, lobbying and advocating for adequately funding. And so, for example, from the federal level, the federal government by statute is supposed to fund special education by 40%. They've only seen that close to 40%, which was around 18%, which was probably maybe 10 years ago. And so it's really incumbent upon me as superintendent to make sure that I am advocating and lobbying for full funding. Because here's the thing, when we think about fully funding special education, some may think it's just a special education issue. Well, that impacts all students, because when school districts are not adequately funded from a special education standpoint, from a state or federal level, we have to, and we will continue to do that, we have to pull those funds from our general fund, which impacts all of our scholars. And so, yes, I will be happy to continue to advocate on behalf of our scholars here.
Why Durham? There's so much going on, like from an outside looking in, you can tell there's a lot. Like, what made you say this is where I want to be? What's your plan to kind of attack it? Where do you start?
Great question. I would say one, I love challenges, right? And you may say this is a huge challenge. Also, I'm born and raised in the South, so family is hugely important to me. In Kansas, I was about 14, 15 hours away from my family. Durham puts me around 6 hours, so I can do that in a day's drive. But not only that, I was looking for a school system that I can add value to, that aligns with my core values and my core beliefs. I would get, invites from other school districts around the country through search firms, and one of the things I would do is go to their website and type in the word equity. Sometimes I would get no hits. It wasn't a district for me. When I typed in equity in Durham Public Schools website, I have tons of pages, So a school system and a community that appreciates, celebrates diversity, but not only that, are doing some things to ensure that student outcomes are no longer predicated, or should not be predicated, on race, socioeconomic status, gender identity, or zip code. And so my core values align with the work of Durham Public Schools, and I'm really excited to get in and add value, but not only that, make Durham Public Schools the premier school system in the country. And I do believe with the amazing staff that we have, that we can do that.
When we talk about retaining and recruiting new teachers, what is your game plan for that? Are you bringing anything different to the field when it comes to recruiting and retaining our educators right now?
Well, I don't have a game plan that I'm ready to impose on the district. I really just want to do a lot of listening and learning, but I will tell you, based on experience and research around the country, we have to look at what are those drivers that are keeping staff in a district, and what are those drivers that are making staff make that decision that it's time for me to leave. And what we know based on some of the research is things like pay. It's not at the top of the list, but it's hugely important. But my opinion, my thoughts, my values are appreciated. I have a trusting relationship with my building administrator, making sure that the culture is such that staff feel a part of. They feel like when I offer my suggestions or my thoughts that I'm being heard. And here's the thing, when we give surveys, Durham Public Schools gives surveys as well, culture and climate surveys, it's important that we are responding to the data within that and acknowledging these are our top 3 areas that we're doing well in. These are our top 3 areas that we can do a better job in. Now I'm taking that survey back as an administrator to our staff. Okay, you said that, for example, that only 33% of our staff are involved in decision making. What are some additional ways that you can be involved in decision making? Well, let's put a suggestion box. Okay, check, we can do that. So listening to our staff, responding to them to make sure that they are heard, because when they're heard, that impacts, again, how well they are working in the classroom for our students.
And what does today look like for you? First day, what are you doing next?
Once I kick you out, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, we have a cabinet meeting here shortly, and then I have some other meeting greets here in this building. I want to meet a lot of people in this building today. And then I'm starting school visits this week as well. So I love being inside of our schools and seeing the teaching and learning process and engaging with students and staff. So that's what the remainder of this week